Before this video ends today, you're going to understand why your soul has felt tired for so long, and why the battle inside you was never random. And once you see it, you will never see your pain the same way again. Stay with me until the end today, because near the end of this documentary, I'm going to reveal the one realization that changed the lives of people who thought they were too broken, too exhausted, and too far gone to ever feel peace again. And honestly, most people leave before they hear it. There's a kind of exhaustion that sleep cannot fix. A heaviness that doesn't come from work. A tiredness that lives deeper than the body. And millions of people are silently carrying it today. They smile. They go to work. They answer messages. They laugh in conversations. But inside, something feels disconnected, empty, restless. And maybe you know that feeling better than anyone. Pause. Maybe lately you felt emotionally distant from yourself. Maybe you've started questioning why small things suddenly hurt more. Why silence feels louder. Why you feel overwhelmed by thoughts you cannot explain. Why your soul feels like it's carrying invisible weight. And what makes this even harder is that most people around you never notice it. Because emotionally exhausted people become experts at pretending they're okay. They learn to survive quietly. But today, we're not just talking about emotional struggle. We're talking about the hidden spiritual war happening beneath it. A battle most people never recognize until it changes them completely. And before we go deeper, I want you to think about something. When was the last time you truly felt at peace with yourself? Not distracted. Not temporarily entertained. Actually at peace. Pause. Most people can't answer that question anymore. And that should concern us. Modern life taught people how to stay busy, but not how to stay spiritually alive. We scroll endlessly, consume constantly, distract ourselves daily. Yet somehow, the emptiness keeps growing. Why? Because the soul was never designed to survive on distraction. And eventually, every distraction stops working. That's why so many people suddenly feel emotionally numb today. Not because they are weak, but because they are spiritually exhausted. And spiritual exhaustion changes people slowly. It steals joy quietly, hope quietly, identity quietly, until one day, you wake up feeling emotionally disconnected from the person you used to be. Pause. And maybe that's where some of you are right now. You don't recognize yourself anymore. You miss who you used to be. You miss feeling alive. You miss feeling close to God. But what if this season is not punishment? What if this discomfort is exposure? Because sometimes, God allows emptiness to expose what was never truly filling us. And in a few minutes, I'm going to explain the dangerous emotional cycle silently trapping millions of believers today. A cycle most people never escape. Pain changes people. Sometimes beautifully. Sometimes destructively. And many people never realized they slowly built an entire identity around survival. Think about it. You became emotionally guarded because you got hurt. Independent because people disappointed you. Quiet because nobody understood your pain. Careful because trusting people became dangerous. And over time, the survival version of you started replacing the real version of you. That's why some people feel emotionally exhausted even during normal days. Because survival requires constant tension, constant alertness, constant emotional defense. But here's the problem. The soul was never meant to live permanently in survival mode. Eventually, something inside begins breaking down. And maybe that explains why so many people feel spiritually disconnected today. Not because God left them, but because they've been surviving for so long that they forgot how to rest emotionally. Listen carefully. This next part might explain your entire season. There's a reason God sometimes allows people to feel uncomfortable. Because comfort can hide chains. And some people never realize what controls them until life starts shaking. Think about biblical history. Before transformation came, there was usually disruption first. Moses had the wilderness. Joseph had the prison. David had isolation. Jesus had the desert. And maybe your current season feels uncomfortable because something inside you is being rebuilt. Not destroyed. Rebuilt. Pause. The painful truth is this. Many people ask God to change their lives, without realizing change often begins with exposure. Exposure of emotional wounds. Exposure of false identity. Exposure of hidden fear. Exposure of spiritual emptiness. And exposure feels painful before it feels freeing. But healing without exposure is impossible. Now let's talk about the loneliness. Because this is the part most people hide. There are people watching this today surrounded by others, yet feeling completely alone. People who feel emotionally unseen, spiritually exhausted, mentally overwhelmed, and quietly afraid that nobody truly understands what they carry internally. Pause. Some of you stopped talking about your pain because explaining it became exhausting. Some of you became emotionally numb because feeling everything became too heavy. And some of you are terrified that this heaviness will never leave. But hear this carefully today. The fact that you still feel pain means your soul has not died. Numbness is not the absence of hope. Sometimes it is the result of carrying too much hope for too long without relief. And maybe this video found you today because your soul needed confirmation. Confirmation that your struggle has meaning. Confirmation that your exhaustion is not random. Confirmation that God still sees you. Because one of the enemy's greatest lies is convincing exhausted people they are abandoned. But you are not abandoned. You are overwhelmed. There is a difference. And now, we arrive at the realization I promised at the beginning. The realization that changes how people see suffering forever. Here it is. Your pain was never proof that God abandoned you. Sometimes, your pain was evidence that transformation had already begun. Because the breaking season often comes before the rebuilding season. And many people mistake the breaking for the ending. But what if it's actually the beginning? Think about seeds. Before growth becomes visible, everything happens underground first. Silent. Hidden. Uncomfortable. And maybe that's exactly where you are today. Underground emotionally. Hidden spiritually. But still growing. Pause. One day, you will look back at this season differently. Not as the season that destroyed you, but as the season that forced you to become real again. The season that stripped away false strength, false peace, false identity. The season that brought your soul back to God. And maybe that's why this video found you today. Not by accident, but because your healing season has already begun. Take a breath. You survived every moment that tried to destroy you. Every sleepless night. every hidden breakdown, every silent prayer, every lonely season. And despite everything, you are still here. Pause. That means something. And maybe today, instead of asking, "Why am I struggling?" you begin asking, "What is this struggle trying to transform inside me?" Because sometimes, the greatest spiritual breakthroughs are born inside the darkest emotional seasons. If this documentary spoke to your soul today, comment, "I'm still fighting." Not because everything feels perfect, but because you refuse to give up on yourself, or on God. And if someone you love has been silently struggling emotionally, share this video with them today. You never know whose soul is waiting for a message like this. And if you want more deep emotional documentaries, faith-based storytelling, healing messages, and powerful spiritual content, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because this channel is becoming a place where emotionally exhausted people remember they are not alone. And remember this: your struggle is not the end of your story. Sometimes, it is the beginning of your transformation.